Billions of people on the globe can now not visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. There is a concerted, organized operation going on to shut down access to Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com in Italy, in Australia, in New Zealand, and in China, and in England that we know of in the last 2 weeks. We have confirmed it. We've got a big report coming out tomorrow at PrisonPlanet.com by Paul Joseph Watson. And so that is our top story today. When we come back from the break, House passes cybersecurity bill. That's the New York Times. Kurt Nemo's headline at Infowars.com. House overwhelmingly passes cybersecurity bill. And the Senate version's even worse. Kurt Nemo's working on a story for that tomorrow. But we have gotten so used to the fact that we are being censored in many different ways, and it's not just us. It's going to be everybody. And we know what happened in New Zealand earlier this week and in parts of Australia where they suddenly started shutting down access to websites en masse. Mainstream News of Australia reporting this. If you're in New Zealand and are with one of the big providers, you can't get us. Some of the small ones you still can. If you're in China, you can't get us. If you're in Australia, you can't get us. If you're in Italy, you can't get us on most systems. And it's admitted that we are banned. Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll be right back. The reason I opened the show up with that on Super Bowl Sunday, the 7th day of February 2010, is because you can see what the government's doing many years before they admit to what they're doing. You can see it in white papers. You can read it in different symposium meetings they've had. You can read what the RAND Corporation and the Army War College and the Council on Foreign Relations are saying they're going to do, because they actually write up the policy that's then adopted by government. There has been a decision made about 6 years ago to incrementally shut down the Internet as we know it, and to force you onto Internet 2 that's highly restricted, where you have to enter the equivalent of a driver's license number to get online, where everything you do is tracked, where everything you do is stored, and where the Pentagon goes around hacking and attacking websites that criticize the government domestically. And they've since 3 years ago announced they're actually doing that. But Americans especially think they're living in a free country in many respects, so they're in denial about this. Brits are in denial. Italians are in denial. French are in denial. Germans are in denial. Aussies are in denial. Kiwis are in denial. People in New Zealand. Well, the denial now needs to end. And it needs to end very, very quickly. Because people recognize that the global carbon tax was the establishment of world government for, of, and by private banks, and because we exposed the fraud of it, it's now in deep trouble. Because we exposed that the swine flu shot was dangerous and that it was a hoax, and that the swine flu itself was not dangerous compared to the regular flu, record numbers of people didn't take it, and it's now all over the mainstream news that it was a hoax and a fraud. If we can admit to ourselves what's happening to Internet freedom and why this is being done, we can save the Internet. What the establishment has done is the NSA and DARPA created the Internet, as you know, in the late 60s. It is a Pentagon creation. Last year, the Pentagon gave control of the private corporate consortium they created, ICANN, to the UN, because the UN was created by the Pentagon in 1945. It's another front. It's now come out, as we told you 5 years ago. We had a high-level CIA officer, Mr. Steele, on to expose it. It's now mainstream news. Google has always been CIA, set up by In-Q-Tel. IBM is a government front, even pre-OSS. Microsoft is a government front. All these major corporations, the Fortune 100, are government fronts. Just like Hughes, Space and Aeronautics, it was later came out was a complete government front. It's all a government front. And then, of course, it makes the insiders that control government fabulously rich. They take your tax money, put trillions of dollars in the aggregate into raw research, and then give it to select groups so they control the global architecture. The federal government, the UN, ICANN have all announced that the internet will be a few thousand megasites, and you will be allowed to have a subdomain like you do on YouTube or you do on MySpace or Facebook, and they will ban you and restrict you whenever they want. That is the official statement of Internet 2 going back over 6 years. Now Time Magazine's calling for it. The head of the UN Internet program's calling for it. Cass Sunstein, White House Regulations Czar, is calling for it. The New York Times is calling for it. They're calling for no more Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Now, we've caught countless big ISPs in England, the U.S., Australia, all over the world, banning Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The issue is they claim that they're not censoring and do this. You can say, well, it's their company, they can do what they want. The point is they do it covertly. And people always complain, and then they unblock it. MySpace admits they ban our bulletins from going out. We've gotten that directly from MySpace. Google has admitted that they've censored us. YouTube has admitted that they've censored us. We've written countless articles with their own admissions there. All over the train systems and free government systems that you pay for as taxpayers in the U.S., in Canada, in Europe. You're not allowed to visit Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com. This is how they operate. This is what they're doing. That's one thing. And I discover this because I have two guys that work for me, Paul Watson and Steve Watson, and you pay as a taxpayer in England for this, quote, free broadband, and then their laptops and cell phones won't go to Infowars and Prison Planet. It gives them a message that it's blocked. And you go to libraries, and you go to schools and public schools, and corporations do it. You can argue, well, corporations are allowed to. You can't visit Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com. But as of 2 weeks ago, and we've gotten the error messages, we've gotten the confirmed emails from China, they're coming in by the hundreds a day, we are banned to 1 billion plus Chinese. Infowars and Prison Planet now banned. Whole areas of Australia were banned. It's the big ISPs doing it. We're banned to most users in New Zealand, and there's actually articles in the New Zealand news about this. This just happened in the last 3 days. We're getting massive emails that were banned in Italy on most systems. People still can get around it some ways with proxy servers and other things. So notice, right as our own media, the British media, the European media, the Aussie media, and others call for the censorship. And again, we have tons of articles I covered throughout the week from major newspapers in Australia where mainline political parties are now banned, where WikiLeaks is banned, where mainline sites are banned. We're not the only ones. They're just banning Chinese-style net censorship. And that's what these countries are calling it. They're proudly doing it. Are spreading everywhere. So a day is coming very soon where you won't be able to visit Infowars or Prison Planet anywhere. You've got the science czar, the technology czar, all calling for censorship. Now, last year, they had two different heads of cybersecurity resign. The first one resigned saying the Pentagon is taking over the Internet. And so when you hear, oh, the House passed cybersecurity bill to fight Chinese hackers, it has nothing to do with that. If you actually read the bill, in fact, just search this term. Obama says he may shut off the Internet to save it. Or, should Obama control the Internet? That's Mother Jones. Print that for me. I don't want to just sit here and make these claims. I want to show you the articles. Go read the House bill. Read the Senate bill. China doesn't even have a net ID to get online. They just block most sites. This is more draconian than China. The White House is calling for this. Do you understand this isn't a joke? And you may hate what I have to say, but if you don't support my free speech, you're going to lose yours. And there's Mother Jones' headline, Should Obama Control the Internet? And then it breaks down the cybersecurity bill and how the head of cybersecurity resigned and how it's a police state takeover. That was from April 2nd, almost a year ago. What, 11 months ago, 10 and a half months ago.